the lost art of the flicker jab. Hello Earthlings, Ultraviolet Ronald from the Bronx here, and today we're going to get into the lost art of the flicker jab, made famous by Tommy Hitman Hearns. Muhammad Ali, self-proclaimed greatest. I mean, I consider him one of the greats, of course. Larry Holmes and Lennox Lewis. Now, when you're practicing the flicker jab, which most people in today's era do not do, and it's great for distracting, it acts as a probing jab, and you're just simply acting as if you have salt on the end of your knuckle and you're trying to take it off. Like you're trying to take it off your knuckle. That's pretty much what a flicker jab is. And when you're doing the flicker jab, the whole purpose of it is to distract, all right? So when you're throwing it out there, you want your arm as loose as you possibly can because it makes it easier to play around with it, you know, and then flicker here. And the whole purpose is to not exert as much energy in throwing the jab. Now, if you're practicing it, you want to practice it first stationary. So just get comfortable with your arm being nice and super loose like a noodle, almost acting as if it's a whip. All right, that's how you get the power into that jab. You're generating it from the back. It's going up the lat from one shoulder to the next, breaking off from the elbow and into the end of that knuckle. So when you're throwing it, just practice it at first. You can follow along with me from stationary, all right? Staying nice and light on your toes. Now, you can keep it down, or you could do how Tommy Hearns would do. He'll go here like this, bop. He'll go here like this, bop. Here, bop. And it completely will confuse him because it almost would hypnotize him with his arm going side to side as he's throwing the flicker jab. It's great for keeping distance and changing it into a left hook out of nowhere. So if I'm flickering it, pop, I can just go into that left hook out of nowhere. Or I can go to the body because again, by this dangling in front, my arm dangling in front of them, it's completely throwing them off guard. Now, as you get comfortable throwing it stationary, now you want to try to throw it as you're advancing. So I'm here, keeping my arm out and advancing, all right? And as you're advancing, you always want to step back or you want to move your head because the name of the game is to hit and not get hit. So you're throwing that arm out there, nice and loose. Again, Muhammad Ali used to do it while he was on his skates, moving around and really implementing the sweet science. Tommy Hearns is truly great at that as well. But when you're throwing it out, it's coming from the elbow, pop. All right, so it's one motion, just like that there, nice and loose. So as you're throwing it, my arm is nice and loose. I'm not tensing it, and I'm keeping my hand somewhat open to the point of impact. That's when I close it tightly and make a fist to maximize the power. But this is not used to be a power blow when you're throwing the flicker jab. Now, the other way of throwing it is how Muhammad Ali would throw it. He would throw it as he was on his skates, moving around to control distance and just keep something out there to confuse his opponent. Now, this takes more experience. You got to get your footwork up to par to start doing this because if not, it's going to be hard. And at the same time, a lot of these people had chins. So when you're doing it and you don't know what you're doing, just do it from the normal mid guard, okay? Keep your hands right here. You can flicker it this way. So keep your arm nice and loose and just flickering it right here. It's gonna throw off your opponent. You can throw multiple jabs and you don't extend or exert that much energy. That's the beauty of the flicker jab. And that's why if you ever look at a lot of Muhammad Ali fights, Tommy Hearns, Larry Holmes, Lennox Lewis, they were able to control a lot of fights based off this arm just being out there. Because even if you try to get in, that jab is still hitting you. He's turning into an uppercut and he's there to gauge distance and catch you with that power shot. So when practicing the flicker jab, practice it as a means to loosen up your shoulders. All right, so it's great to just practice loosening up your shoulders. And then after you get comfortable practicing it with your shoulders being loose, then bring your hands up because then you're not expending as much energy and then you know what goes into the flicker jab. You can just throw it out there. And then as you get more experience and you have that stamina and conditioning, then you can leave your arm out there as it's intended in the long guard and then flicker it out to really gauge that distance and throw your opponent off. You'll be surprised how effective the flicker jab is when implementing this punch correctly. Remember, the people who were sleeping in those big fights and big divisions, such as Thomas Hearns, Larry Holmes, Lennox Lewis, and Muhammad Ali, were implementing the flicker jab, and a lot of people neglect it. I don't know why. Nowadays, it's a beautiful jab. Try to put it into your arsenal. Practice this as much as possible. Have fun while you're doing it because it makes it that much easier to get down. Now, thank you for joining me on this journey to the ultraviolet. And if you liked the video, please comment and subscribe, and always work towards becoming your greatest version.